back, everybody.
Welcome back.
I'm Matt,
I'm Jimmy.
and we are Two Average Guys. Glad to have you guys here. I know it's been a couple weeks. I had my surgery last week, so wasn't quite ready to get going last week. So definitely glad to be back, healthy and ready to get going. So college football, it's back.
Yes.
It's officially
Couple
back.
games on yesterday.
It's officially back. So pretty exciting. Not a ton to be so excited about yesterday. There's a couple games.
No, it wasn't, but it's kind of a tease actually.
Yeah, if you're excited about, you're excited about New Mexico State and Wyoming. Well, there wasn't really a whole lot there, so that wasn't really extremely exciting. But Wyoming is one of those teams that we had Craig Bohl, the coach, used to be at Nebraska, and so it's always good to see him succeed.
They were showing some things last night that quarterbacks under him. Carson Wentz, he was the number 2 overall pick. Josh Allen was the number 7 overall pick as quarterbacks. That's pretty cool.
Oh yeah. It was fun to watch, just to be able to get back in the zone and get back into the mode of college football's back.
A game ends and you just flip over to another one.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I was going back and forth between games, and even the James Madison or the Jacksonville State game. So
that fat kicker.
Oh my God, that kicker was huge. If you guys watched it, the kicker is probably about 250.
He's got this big belly. It's fun.
Yeah, it was fun. He missed like a 52-yarder, and then he missed one.
He got blocked.
Not the 52-yarder. The other one got blocked.
Yeah.
It's back though, and we're excited about it. Going to be a pretty good time this year. We got a lot of new things to be excited about. A lot of new coaches. Here in college football.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll talk a little bit about that as we go along, but. Want to start off the show by making an announcement. For any of you on Two Average Guys that follow Cornhusker Nation on Facebook, we're actually going to be partnering and doing kind of like a merger with Cornhusker Nation. So it's a good thing. I think we get some fans from Cornhusker Nation liking Two Average Guys, and they've really done a good job of promoting Two Average Guys for us.
Yeah,
so
for sure.
We're excited to be admins on their page and be able to kind of expand what we currently do, or expand the amount of people that we can reach. So that's the biggest thing they provide for us is just that outreach, getting more people involved, getting more people watching. We provide the podcast, we provide the live video, and then we also provide a Twitter page. So we're going to be able to expand Cornhusker Nation, and they're going to help Two Average Guys expand. So still got some details to figure out on how that merge is going to work. So we'll get some details going on this week, try to figure out how we want to do that, what's the best way to do it. Two Average Guys is not going anywhere. We'll just be a part of Cornhusker Nation. So pretty exciting.
We talk about all college football, not just Nebraska. So. Mm-hmm. We got favorite things.
Yeah, so we'll be able to get the Husker fans and hopefully get some good conversation around college football in general, and like we normally do on Two Average Guys. So very excited. So more to come on that. So stay tuned this week, because next week we plan on broadcasting from the Cornhusker Nation Facebook page. So that'll be a little bit different. So once again, more details to come next week or during the week prior to Sunday next week when we go live again. So once again, very excited. College football's back. We have a lot of games this next weekend. Some big games, some not so big games.
Some on paper at this point in time, big games, but when it comes down to it, at the end of the season, you look back and it wasn't necessarily a big game, but at this particular time, it's a big game. Yeah,
absolutely. So let's start off. We were going to start off by going in kind of an order on Thursday games, going through Monday, because there is a game on Labor Day as well. But instead, let's talk about the Huskers. So, Huskers play Akron on Saturday. Obviously, no big game there necessarily, but it is a big game for Cornhusker fans because we have Scott Frost coaching his first game back in Nebraska. We have Adrian Martinez,
a true freshman
that just got announced today.
There's never been a true freshman quarterback start for Nebraska.
Never a starter. Now, yes, we had true freshman play,
but
never starting the season. So.
And sorry, real quick, I do have a puppy upstairs, so if you do hear some whining, I'm sorry about that.
It's not Jimmy whining; it's the puppy. But really, some big notable things to take a look at for Nebraska this year. Obviously, Frost and his staff. I mean, they've gotten the players in shape and really beaten in the weight room. I think they said it combined 800 pounds have been 790 pounds has been gained in the off season for the Huskers.
But at the same time, some of the players like Divina Zigbo has maybe cut some weight.
He cut weight. He cut weight in order to get faster. So
they're doing the right things.
They're doing a lot of good things with the players to get them healthy, to get them ready to go for the season. Mm-hmm. And to me, that's extremely exciting just because you have what we had the last 3 years. To know what they've done in the off season for these players and for the fans, to get fans as excited as they are. I mean, Riley and his staff never did that. You never heard about how the weight room was going, which all college football teams typically do that nowadays. Maybe they didn't feel it was necessary, but at the same time, you see stats put up like that by the guys lifting weights. You see Stoltenberg out there and Farner. Right. You see all these guys that are just getting jacked in the weight room and getting fit and ready to go for the season. That's exciting for any fans out there.
Well, and with Riley and staff, I think when they came in, it's hard. The fan base is tough.
Yep.
And so
we're tough.
They wanted to be, they wanted to come in and keep Tommy Armstrong as the starting quarterback because they wanted to keep the locker room.
Yeah.
But what they probably should have done is they probably should have gone after a JUCO transfer quarterback that fit their style.
Yeah.
Because right off the, and they tried to accommodate, which I understand, but in the long scheme of things, this is your team, you're the coach, you need to get players that incorporate your system.
Yeah, and
we haven't done that for the last few years.
And the good news is now we have a staff who obviously had a lot of experience with UCF and with Scott Frost in getting them back on track to a quality football program that's going to win games. If they're not winning, you know that they're trying hard on every single down, and they're not getting winded by the fourth quarter. And that's one thing that we've seen in the last few years is our guys are tired by the time the third and fourth quarter hit. They're exhausted. But now with this new strength conditioning program, they're eating healthier, they're lifting weights. I think the conditioning is going to be better to where, hey, we're ready to go in that fourth quarter. Hey, it's a close game.
Even if we don't win the game, we're in the game.
We're in the game. We're not giving up. And I think that's what I'm most excited about. Is just we're going to have our guys not giving up on any given game, no matter who we're playing.
And when you can score very quick, you can come back. Even if you're down by 3 touchdowns, you can come back.
Yeah, and I think this coaching staff instills that confidence in the guys. We've heard a lot of them talk about the way Coach Frost approaches the game, and the way that the other coaches approach the game is, they're having fun with us, but they make sure that we know what to do, when we need to do it, how we need to do it. And that's the most important thing for this coaching staff is they're like, we're never going to yell at a guy. We might talk to them sternly, but we're never going to yell at them if they do something wrong. That's when we need to teach them and coach them to get to where they need to be.
Well, and some eye-opening conversations that were had during Big Ten Media Days where, Frost didn't realize how far these guys were, out of shape or, at practices, they'd go do a rep and then go sit and wait for 10 minutes to do something. That's not how it is. They're constantly moving at practice. If you're not, if you're not in on a play, you're doing something, you're, focusing on this so that you learn, not just standing around waiting your turn.
Yeah, and we got a lot of seniors on the team this year that are looking to kind of go out with the
right, and they want to be the first step of what hopefully Frost can do for us, and they don't want to just they want to be that first step, but they also don't want to be the ones that are just starting it. They want it to be now.
Yeah,
and that's good to hear.
Tanner Farmer said that he's like, this is not a rebuilding year. Anybody who thinks this is a rebuilding year can leave now because we're not rebuilding. We're building on something that we already had, but now we have the coaching staff to get us to the next level.
There are guys that are still leaving. I mean, there was guys this last week that left.
Yeah. Well,
they see all the writing on the wall. They're not going to play.
Yeah. Well, not only that, we had guys leave towards the beginning of when Frost and his staff got there because guess what?
Nick Gates.
Nick Gates, yeah, he left because, and I think everyone knows he wasn't willing to put in the work.
Yeah.
And he saw what this coaching staff was going to make him do, from the workouts to the weight room to the conditioning, and he didn't want to be a part of that. And I think no one's really surprised by that. So you can tell by his effort on the field. So we do have a lot of great guys to look forward to this year. Obviously with true freshman quarterback Martinez, he's got the legs, he's got the feet to move around the field. Yeah. And he's got a good arm.
And it's going to be a learning experience. I mean, there's going to be some struggles, I'm sure.
Yeah,
There'll be some struggles on Saturday.
But knowing that we have Tristan Gebbia right behind him, if we have to do a passing play and it's not confident, and we're not as confident in Adrian Martinez to run that play, we got Tristan Gebbia who can go in there and hopefully run that play. I think we're going to see not a dual quarterback system, but I think we're going to see two quarterbacks being played this year.
Is it nerdy of me to say that I've rewatched some of these UCF games from last year to watch Mackenzie Milton, and I can see Adrian Martinez in him if he can get to that level.
Yeah,
he'd be unbelievable.
Yeah, well, and what's nice is you're starting him off as a freshman, so both him and Gebbia have a lot of room to grow still. Obviously, they haven't seen a snap in a college football game, so
right.
They've seen obviously practices, scrimmages, and one thing I like about what the Huskers have been doing in the practices is even Scott Frost has said, we'll have our defense is coming hard. Like they'll throw everything at us, and then they'll kind of back off a little bit, and then they'll throw everything at us again. So they're not just letting the offense do their thing. The defense is playing as if it's a real game. And so they're challenging the offense, which is obviously really good when you got two quarterbacks who've never seen a snap in college football, to see that challenge, to see the blitz packages, to be able to see when they drop back into a different formation on defense and trying to read where the linebacker's going, where the corner's going, where the safety is going on the safety blitzes. So they're throwing different things at them to keep them on their feet and learn in practice. They're not just going through the motions.
So, like you said, I'm glad that this quarterback race came this far. And, I mean, I personally wanted Adrian Martinez to win this job. I thought that they would give it to Gebbia. He's been, he has a little bit more experience. He's been in college for a year.
Yeah.
More than Adrian. So I thought that he might win it and that they both might play, and eventually Adrian Martinez would play the majority of the season. But like you had said, I'm glad that this made it this far. And I know some people will say, well, they just had it a quarterback battle this long so someone wouldn't transfer. And that's very, that is what happens.
Yeah.
Because teams don't want players to leave. And depending on how this shakes out, if Adrian Martinez does win this job, plays most of the season or all of the season, and then does moving forward, I could see potentially maybe a transfer from some, or even vice versa. There could be from somebody, but I feel like, Gebbia came in, as Riley's guy.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Well, and
I know he's a really hard worker. Comes in early, stays late type of guy.
Yeah.
Busts his ass.
Well, and Gebbia's dad last year, in the whole Mike Riley fiasco of are they going to fire him or not, his dad was like, if they fire Mike Riley,
right? I remember this.
They can't fire Mike Riley because he recruited my son. That's the only reason why he went there was Mike Riley.
If Mike Riley leaves,
if he leaves, Gebbia might.
Then Tristan will leave. But.
So he kept him there. So I'm assuming Frost had a conversation with the quarterback's dads. I can't imagine why he wouldn't to keep Gebbia there. But we also have Andrew Bunch, who is no joke of a quarterback.
And he has more college experience than the other guys do.
He does, and so he is not one of those guys that I don't think he's going to sit on the sideline the entire year.
I think all three of those guys could potentially play on Saturday.
Yeah,
two of them will play for sure.
Yeah. I think in the first few games, you might see more than one quarterback play. Because you want to get them all experience. Because guess what? If Martinez gets hurt, hey, we got to have the next guy up.
Right.
And if Gebbia gets hurt, guess what? Bunch, you're in. I think Frost is going to be very creative with our quarterback situation, which is exciting. Right. But congrats to Adrian Martinez. Obviously, well deserved from your the work that you've put in the summer and the fall. I think after seeing the spring game, everyone's pretty excited to see is he going to win the job, and if he does, we're excited about it because he did really well.
It's so different when you have a guy that can run and run like he can.
Oh yeah.
That makes such a difference in college football.
Oh, absolutely.
So
yeah, it is exciting.
Very excited.
So quarterback, very excited about that. Now running back. That's a crazy story because we have a lot of depth at running back.
Right.
Now, unfortunately, we did lose Trey Bryant this
shout,
past week.
Shout out to Trey Bryant.
Best of luck to him. Unfortunately, his knees just weren't holding up, and even Frost said, he would come and tell me, "I'm going home. I can't sleep at night because my knees are hurting that bad." So you got some of them. Once again, college football, you get a lot of really good athletic trainers. You get a lot of good strength and conditioning. And he was used, last year as well. I mean, he's been around the game for a while, but even he had some injuries and some struggles last year too. And I just think, your knees are nothing to mess around with because you only got two of them.
I heard. I remember when he got hurt last year, and it was like, is he going to come back? I remember somebody saying that they had heard he basically had like 50-year-old knees.
Mm.
That's how bad they were.
Which you wouldn't guess on the field when he ran the ball.
No, because he's unbelievable.
Yeah.
So, that was tough. I mean, I feel for him because I don't know necessarily where he was at in the depth chart.
Yeah.
And maybe he was a little bit down just because of injuries or potential injuries. But,
But I mean,
he's great.
He's gonna be missed. We've loved him as a Husker. He'll always be a Husker.
Yeah.
Wish him the best of luck with his knees. But we do have plenty of guys that are going to be able to run the ball.
Right, for sure.
We have a Zigbo and Wilbon who are the last years.
There hasn't been much talk about Wilbon.
There really hasn't been a whole lot of talk about a Zigbo, to be honest.
There actually, I listen to sports radio every day, so
it's picked up a little bit. But a lot of the talk has been around
Greg Bell and
Maurice Washington, which is great, and I think those two guys are going to be fantastic. But a Zigbo,
I think Zigbo has busted his ass pretty good, so that he wants to play as a senior.
Yeah, well, you mentioned he cut weight too.
Well, and last year, going into the season, there was Wilbon, Trey Bryant, and a Zigbo, and the coaches were kind of like, we're waiting for one of them to, say, hey, this is my job, and take over. Yeah. And that didn't happen. That didn't happen that they said, and then the first game started, and Trey Bryant blew everybody out of the water.
Yeah, and I think a Zigbo kind of established himself because of his size as who am I thinking of? Not Imani Cross?
Yeah, Imani Cross.
He's kind of like Imani Cross where, hey, if you put me down in the trenches, I'm going to bust through guys.
Right.
And that's what Imani Cross was when he was a Husker. Well, Zigbo doesn't want to be that guy. I think Zigbo has plenty of speed, and he's got strength and size. And I think if cutting weight and probably increasing his speed is going to help him get around the edges and be able to bust through guys at the same time, I'm excited for a Zigbo. I've liked the Zigbo since day one.
Again, back to my nerdiness, I rewatch games because you can go to YouTube and watch a Nebraska-Oregon from 2016 in 45 minutes. So you watch that game, and the Zigbo played a lot in that game, and he was awesome.
Yeah.
And if he's a little faster than that, I know that with Frost and Frost's offense, they're going to be extremely up tempo.
And we're going to need all four guys.
And they've even said Walters that said this week that we don't really have ones going with ones because throughout the game we're going to have all kinds of guys coming in.
Yeah.
So twos are going with ones and threes are going with ones and whatever because they're going to be shuffling guys in, and that's great.
Yeah, and
if you can get two of them on the field at the same time, that's even better.
Yeah, I mean, and with Wilbon, we've seen some great plays from Wilbon, some great runs, but we've also seen some fumbles, some turnovers, some not so good runs from Wilbon. He's kind of up and down. So I'm thinking the coaching staff probably worked a lot with him in the offseason too on getting to where his potential is. But once again, we got four running backs, and everything I've heard about Maurice Washington has been nothing but this guy's is freaking amazing. He's going to blow everyone out of the water.
That's also...
And same with Greg
Bell. It was
Bell.
also awesome that we were able to get him in now, especially that we lost Trey Bryant.
He got to campus late,
the fact that he was able to make grades so that you could get in, and then he's wowed everybody since he came in, so I'm sure he's going to get a chance. And then even a Jalen Bradley, you kind of forget about.
Yeah.
He got some carries over the last year.
We got Jalen Bradley.
He was good when he went in, so...
Yeah. Well, and Jalen Bradley was...
And there's a couple freshmen, too.
Jalen Bradley was that hype guy as a freshman, and are we going to pull his red shirt? Are we going to keep... what are we going to do with him?
Too bad that we didn't red shirt him last year.
But that's fine. But I think Bradley...
He's got some experience, though.
He's got a lot of speed. He was the speed guy last year. So I'm excited to
And
see.
there is 2 freshmen that they're very excited about too.
Yeah, so you're talking about a lot of depth at running back. So yes, we lost Trey Bryant, which it sucks, but
It does.
we have such good depth that I think our run game, with the way Frost runs his offense, the way we saw with UCF last year, the amount of potential on the run game is going to be incredible. They asked him about the true I formation during Big Ten Media Days. I don't know if anyone saw this, and he kind of laughed a little bit because the fullback's it's kind of being phased out. Not a lot of teams use the fullback anymore. We do have a fullback, but not a lot of teams are using it. So I don't know. I don't see us using a fullback very much. But
yeah, I mean, when you have Les Miles' kid that was a fullback, he transferred because he wasn't going to play.
Yeah, and I think that's indicative of the way Frost is going to run the offense without a fullback. And that's probably why he transferred.
Instead of the fullback run game like we used to do, it's more of like a quick hit pass, quick hit screen, or something like that instead of the fullback run. But
yeah, so I think we're going to be able to use all of our running backs in some capacity. And when you have a guy as big as Wilbon and as built and as strong as Zigbo, you can put him in that I formation and potentially do some fun plays out of that. So very excited about our run game. Very excited about the quarterback.
And I mean, I'm excited about our wide receivers. Between Stanley Morgan and J.D. Spielman, that might be the best, 2 wide receiver combo in the Big Ten, if not anywhere.
Why not throw in Tyjon Lindsey?
Well, then you have that too. And
I said it last year.
He does fit more of a Frost style.
He does, and I said it last year. I think there is nobody in the country in college football who has the depth of talent, at running back, and also the depth of talent at wide receiver. I think
Well, go ahead. Sorry.
I don't think there's very many teams that can say we have 3 or 4 really good wide receivers like the Huskers can with Lindsey, with Spielman, and with Stanley Morgan. I mean, you're looking at Stanley Morgan and Spielman as 2 potential guys that can break a lot of records,
right?
With the right quarterback.
Well, and I don't necessarily think that Tanner Lee wasn't the right quarterback. It was just, yes, it was, but
Come on.
he also couldn't move around. So,
No.
And the offensive line in front of him was not good. So, you get those guys a little better, which I think we have, and then you have a quarterback that's that's mobile, and hopefully he has worked a little bit on his passing game. But you get him out there running around. Like I said, I've watched some of these games from UCF from last year, and quarterback is moving constantly. Even on the plays that he ends up throwing the ball, he might run quite a bit and then throw a quick short pass that ends up 5, 10, 15 yards, whatever. So being able to have a mobile quarterback, not just to run for yards, but to run to get space to make a
play. Yeah, I mean, that's what. I mean, if you want to make it to the next level, you got to be able to move and make a play. And I think that's going to be big for Martinez, is moving out of the pocket. We didn't have Tanner Lee couldn't move out of the pocket last year, so we have 2 quarterbacks now that can not only run but can move out of the pocket and throw the ball on the run and out of the pocket.
And tuck it down when you need to.
Yeah, and so I think that's a big thing. But for our wide receivers, it's huge. I'm really, and honestly, I love Spielman. I love Stanley Morgan. I'm even more excited about Tyjon Lindsey this year. Tyjon Lindsey makes me think of Jamal Turner.
Right.
I think Jamal Turner obviously came in as a quarterback, but I think Jamal Turner had so much promise and so much talent, but we didn't use him to his potential. And when he got the ball, you'd see him run the ball, and you'd see him running with the ball and catching the ball, and he was awesome. I think Tyjon Lindsey is that guy where we saw a glimpse of what he can do with a bad quarterback for the Huskers. Think what he can do with a solid quarterback that can hit him on the run, and then can find also Spielman and Morgan as your other guys. So yes, he's the number 3 on as far as wide receiver that people would probably, if you put 1, 2, 3.
Right.
But I think he has potential to be just as good as Spielman and as Stanley Morgan, just because he's got the hands, he's got the speed. But we got to have the right quarterback to get the ball.
And if you go back to some of these games, I've been watching a lot of old games lately. I watched the 2015 Michigan State game. Stanley Morgan was a freshman, and when he's catching passes in that game, and you could see he was going to be great.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what I think for some of these other young guys right now.
Yep. And I think our young guys have a lot to look up to from the guys that are older, the juniors, the seniors on the team. They have taken, I think, that extra step towards that leadership role.
Well, sorry.
To be great. So.
And congrats to those walk-ons that got scholarships this week.
Yeah.
Reimers is a wide receiver, one of them. I mean, he's going to be catching passes for sure.
Yeah, they haven't had a wide receiver or tight end this year.
Well, they say wide receiver, but he
guy.
could be, probably some type of slot position.
Yeah, but I was excited to see that. Yeah, we had 3 walk-ons get scholarships. Brandon Reimers, senior, very deserving. You can see him catch a lot of passes this year. Mm-hmm. So that's exciting. A couple other notables that I put down. Gifford. Gifford kind of came to his own last year. I mean, he
was great last year.
He kind of makes me think of.
Are you talking about Compton?
No. Went and played for the Eagles.
Nate Gary?
Yeah, it kind of makes me think of Nate Gary a little bit.
That was my first thought.
Maybe not quite. Maybe not
not
as big of a beast as Gary was. And
Gary's supposed to be a starter this year for the Eagles.
But I think he makes me think of him because I think Gifford, he sniffs out the ball really well, and he anticipates where the ball's going to go and where the play's going to go, and he has that instinct and that next level competition to where he's going to attack when he needs to. And I'm excited about him. Senior year. Aaron Williams, senior year. Stoltenberg, senior year.
Yeah.
You got Dedrick Young. You got Freedom. I can never say his last name.
Yeah,
I
can't say that.
But Freedom, I mean, that's a big dude. And then you got Lamar Jackson as well, who a lot of hype around Lamar Jackson on defense too.
And they say there's so much talent there. They got to work him, and it's going to take a little bit of time because he obviously wasn't where he should have been for the last season or two.
Yeah.
So
I think we have just so much potential on defense once again to be really good, and I think our defense and the way that they're being coached right now, they put on a lot of weight. They're ready to go and ready to kick ass out there, and
I mean, it's not going to be bend don't break, which is what it was last year.
Yeah.
And no pressure on the quarterback and anything like that.
These guys are not going to be
aggressive.
They're not going to be sitting up there at the line going like this to guys. And that's what we saw last year. We saw zero pressure. Our defensive line, you could tell they were not in good shape because all they did when it came to pressure on the quarterback, they never did any arm swipes. They were just always here. It was, hey, we're going to contain and hope the quarterback doesn't run. If he does, we can't catch him anyways. But I mean, we didn't have anything on the defensive line. So I think we're going to see a lot of fun stuff in the defense
really
this
tough
year.
to watch.
Yeah, it was.
I'm excited to not watch that anymore.
I really want to put the past behind us, but it just last year hurt so bad. And knowing that we have so much talent on our team, that's why I'm excited. I know you're excited. And I know Husker fans are excited about Scott Frost. And I think you've seen enough media around the team this year to get even more excited.
And I know we've said it before too, but that first loss is going to come. The second loss is going to come. I hope people don't overreact too much.
Yeah.
We did sign Scott Frost to a 7-year contract.
We did.
So we want to win just as fast as everybody else does, but we have a tough schedule this year. We have a lot of tough road games.
We have one of the toughest in the country this year.
Right.
And the Big Ten is now. I mean, I've heard more and more over the last couple of weeks is the Big Ten is the toughest conference in the country. Because you look at how many teams, not only in the West,
there's
but
4 teams in the East.
Yeah, and there's teams in the West that all have potential to win the conference.
They're saying Wisconsin. Wisconsin was preseason 4th ranked.
Yeah,
that's a playoff position right there.
Yeah, and a lot of people are thinking they're gonna be in the playoffs. So
and Purdue and Northwestern are improved.
Yeah,
and even Minnesota.
Minnesota's improved, and they're in year 2 with Fleck.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of things.
Iowa's always there.
There's a lot of things in the Big Ten to look forward to this year. So they are, I think, the best conference. You got SEC, you got 2 or 3 teams, maybe. And in the Big Ten, you got 7, 8 teams that all have potential to be great. And that's exciting for the Big Ten. So very exciting for this football season to get started. It got started last night. A lot of people still say we're a week away, but it really did start.
It was week 0, but...
It was week 0, but week 0 was fun to watch. Kirk Herbstreit was taking a lot of shit on social media, on his Twitter, because he's like, we have some obscure games going on. And people took offense to that, saying like, what, so we're obscure because we like to watch Colorado State and Hawaii? It's like, well, no, but these are like these are odd games. Like they're not. You got
There wasn't
a
a
couple
Power
FCS
5 team.
teams. Yeah, so they are obscure.
Those FCS
games.
games were pretty. I mean, that one I watched was pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you got New Mexico State. Let me talk about them real quick. Their new quarterback Romero. If you guys watched any of the game last night, he was awful. He couldn't hit a wide. He would hit a wide open receiver, but on the bounce. Like he needs to play basketball or something, work on his bounce passes because they're pretty good. But it was fun to watch. It was football. Just the fact that it was on. I went to bed early during the Wyoming game just because honestly I started to get bored.
Well,
just because New Mexico State was that bad.
I was watching it with a couple people, and somebody said, you can definitely tell this is the first week.
Yeah. Oh, you could.
Yeah.
Well, and then if you watch any of the Jacksonville State, I keep on saying James Madison.
James Madison.
They're the Spiders, right?
Yeah. No, Richmond is the Spiders.
Richmond, that's right. But they played each other, I think, in that championship game. But.
James Madison. No, it was James Madison, North Dakota State. That's been the championship for 2 years in a row.
But I think with Jacksonville State, I mean, you saw some really dumb personal foul penalties.
There's that one.
There was one where the guy was already out of bounds, and he lowered his head. Arms back and went head to head. I mean, you're going to get called for targeting. There was also a targeting call in the Wyoming game. I don't know if you remember seeing that.
I wasn't watching that.
Guy was scrambling out in the backfield. The guy came back to block him from behind, and he led with his shoulder, but the head's connected.
Okay.
Shoulder and head both connected. Well, they ejected him for targeting. I didn't agree with that one.
That's tough, man.
If you watched any NFL preseason,
which I really haven't. I just heard about it.
They've had their new helmet rule, and there's been some calls. I'm like, that's actually a good form tackle.
Right, that's what I've heard.
But they're calling. So if that's indicative of what's going to happen with college football as well,
I don't think it is.
I wouldn't be surprised. So I just be prepared for maybe some really bad ejections this year from a targeting standpoint because I thought the Wyoming one wouldn't stand, but it did.
That's tough because they said. They openly came out and said that that's going to cost guys their jobs in the NFL.
Yeah.
But that's also going to change games in college football.
Oh, yeah.
Because there's going to be a Bosa or something for Ohio State.
That's fine.
Right.
Big Bosa can get kicked out.
Right, but in a big time game, first quarter, he's going to get ejected, and it's going to change the game.
Yep.
So.
Yeah, I think. Anyways, those games were fun just to watch. As much as I could, just because it was fun to get back in the spirit of college football, and I've been in the spirit for like a couple months now. But even more in the spirit.
I've been in the spirit since December because we got Frost and how bad the team was last year.
Which let me remind everybody, at least the first person that I know of to break it on any sort of social media platform.
I forgot.
Your guys right here.
I forgot it was.
Because of an inside tip that I got.
It was this guy.
That Frost was coming. Now, I was on the 7-year deal, but I thought it was $42 million. I think I was off a little bit on the price, but either way.
I think.
Pretty sure it came out from 2 average guys first. So I'm going to just say that right now.
Yeah, it was something. I think it was 7 years.
I'm pretty proud of that.
42.
But anyways, let's get into a few different games that are going to happen this weekend.
All right, yeah, let's get excited. Even though I still will never understand why people decide that they're going to get married on Labor Day weekend when
you got a wedding.
Yeah, my hill is the maid of honor, and so I have to. I mean, what am I going to do?
Oh man.
So I'm going to be on a party bus watching games on my phone.
Good for you. Good. That's a true college football fan right
now
there.
That I got unlimited data on my phone.
That's a true college football fan right there. Yeah, I mean, playing in the game. See, I did mine on a Friday night during football season because we played Ohio State the next day.
It was Wisconsin.
No, we played Ohio State.
I thought it was Wisconsin. You guys went to the game.
No.
Oh, okay.
Played Ohio State the next day because we watched it at home.
All right. No.
Either way, yeah.
It's always, Nebraska's not playing anybody, and
doesn't matter.
Iowa's not playing anybody. There's 12 games. You only get 12 games.
My neighbors are getting married on September 22nd when we play Michigan. And so I declined, and I'm like, sorry guys, we have another obligation that day. Well, we do. I do, at least. My wife could care less, but I want to watch.
And that might be a night game, too.
Exactly. Well, that's the thing. It's
that's
probably going to be a night game.
It's looking like that's going to be a
night game. Now, guess what? If it's a 2:30 game, I'm there. I'm going to come to your reception and drink your free beer. But 7 o'clock game is probably going to be against Michigan. So sorry. Anyways, sidetrack, yeah.
I'm going to have to figure out how I'm going to watch this first Scott Frost game on my phone at a reception.
It happens every year.
It does.
It does.
I'm not going any other way this fall. So
Good. Okay, so let's get Thursday kicks off. We got UCF and UConn playing the first game. So once again, let me remind you, UCF went undefeated last year. They're ranked number 21 this year to start the season.
yeah, but they never really ranked them higher than 12 last year.
They never got the benefit of the doubt last year, even when they did win the bowl game.
Frost was vocal about.
Even when they did beat Auburn. But guess what? It's either here nor there. UCF, they showed everybody last year that, hey, we're a good team. And Heupel is now their new coach.
Right.
So we'll see what Josh Heupel can do coming in, and with that program, if he can continue what Frost and his staff did.
I mean, they still have Milton. I don't know what kind of system they're going to be running.
Yeah, I mean, if they run the same system, they could be another
they're running
high-power offense.
Up-tempo offense. We're going to see them pretty good, which they probably will.
So they play UConn. So can they continue that win streak? Probably against UConn, absolutely. New Mexico State played yesterday. Once again, they were awful. But New Mexico State plays Minnesota. So the only reason why I put that game on our games to watch is because Minnesota.
Yeah,
they're sorry, it's first Big Ten.
They're in our division. So and that's the first Big Ten game.
Yeah, first Big Ten game of the year. It's Thursday night, and you got Minnesota. But once again, Minnesota showed some flashes of a good football
what were they,
team.
6-6 maybe last year? They dominated us.
Yeah, in their run game. Their run game was solid. So I think Minnesota is one of those teams that could kind of be one of those silent killers in the West this year. So I'd say we'll watch out for them. But against New Mexico State, it shouldn't be any challenge for them. I think they're going to be able to destroy them pretty easily from what I saw last night. Then we got Northwestern and Purdue.
Very excited to watch this game on Thursday.
Now, both unranked, but you have two teams, once again, two teams in the Big Ten. Purdue showed a lot of promise last year. They had 7 wins. They kind of came out of nowhere.
Yeah, they have a good coach.
I didn't think Nebraska was going to beat them, but we did.
I don't know. We probably shouldn't have beat them last year.
But I think it was the last drive, if I remember, or one of the last drives
we scored at the end
and winning. But
we scored with like 10 seconds left.
Yeah.
With a couple seconds left.
But Northwestern, they got Thorson back, and he's apparently healthy. Thorson, he's been hurt every year.
Who was their running back? They've had a running back that for like the last 4 years, but he's gone. So, but I think they do have a couple guys at running back that they're pretty high on.
Yeah.
They run the ball a lot.
I think Pat Fitzgerald, he's a good coach. He talks shit about Nebraska all the time, but I think he's still a good coach.
No, he's good.
And I think Thorson is going to instill some of that confidence in the offense because we know what he can do. We know Thorson is dangerous. And he talked to the Big Ten media guys, and he was excited just to be back on the field. I mean, Thorson's a good guy. You listen to him talk. You listen to what he has to say. I mean, I think he's a great quarterback. He's a good person. I wish him success. I just hope he doesn't have too much success. But that should be a fun game. That should be a real fun game.
I mean, I don't know who I necessarily want to win that game.
I think Purdue's going to win that game. I think they're
I'll take Northwestern.
I think they're going to pick up on their success from last year. It was only 7 wins, yes, but from a Purdue team that was really shitty prior to that, I think Purdue has a good shot of making some noise. But I think it depends on Thorson.
Thursday night game. That's probably, I hope, on ESPN or something.
Yep, I think that's a 7 o'clock game if I remember correct, 6 or 7.
I'll be watching that.
Friday we got San Diego State playing at number 13 Stanford. Now, Stanford
has Bryce Love.
Stanford's got Bryce Love. They did pretty decent last year. They lost some games they probably shouldn't have lost, including San Diego State. They lost 20-17 at San Diego State last year. So and I think it was good. And I'm pretty sure it was the 3rd game of the season. So it's not like they didn't. It's not
was that
the first.
Was that like a Thursday or Friday night game?
I think it was.
Yeah,
I think it was a Thursday or Friday. So they lost their 3rd game of the season to San Diego State, which was kind of a big thorn in the side for Stanford moving forward. That really took them out of the chance to even play.
Right, but then I think they were pretty good in conference after that.
Yeah, they were. They really. So after that game, they really picked it up. I'm pretty sure they were 9-3 or 10-2 on the season. So they had a good season. But that loss to San Diego State really killed them and killed their chances to make the title game. So that should be a game to watch out for.
Yeah.
San Diego State's still good. Stanford still has Bryce Love. And that's what San Diego State was able to do last year, because I remember watching the game, is they were able to stop Bryce Love. I mean, obviously they only put up 17 points. So they were able to do a good job on defense. So we'll see what happens this year. First game of the season. Stanford's going to be out for revenge. It's also at Stanford.
Right, and
so
between those two teams, I couldn't tell you who lost seniors or
No,
whatever.
I'd still bet on Stanford winning that game. But we're going to come back to the 11 o'clock game, Oregon State and Ohio State. We'll talk about that in a little bit because we're not going to talk more about just the game.
Okay.
I promised everyone we would. We got FAU, Florida Atlantic playing at Oklahoma at 11 o'clock as well, number 7.
I still think that's sneaky good because it's going to be Kyler Murray's first game, and I don't know what the quarterback and offensive player personnel situation that they have at Florida Atlantic,
I don't
but
know.
they were pretty good last year, 9-3 season, won their conference. They could, if they can get a lead early, that game could be interesting. But
I think it could be
I
interesting.
think they have Oklahoma favored by like 20-some points.
Yeah, I mean, you got Lincoln Riley and Lane Kiffin squaring off. So a lot of hype around Lane Kiffin and what he did last year. And a lot of things we heard in the offseason about Lane Kiffin is if another Power 5 team opens up a job for head coaching, they're going to go after Lane Kiffin. Let me stop you right there. It's a bad idea. We saw what he did at Tennessee. We saw what he did at USC. He's not a head coach. Now, the guy might be able to coach an offense, and he's been fine at FAU, but it's
right.
FAU.
I mean, yeah, they're in the Sun Belt or whatever it is. And at Florida Atlantic in Boca Raton, Florida, the campus is on the beach. I mean, it's probably pretty decent. I mean, pretty easy to recruit
Yeah.
down there.
Oh, yeah.
So,
Well, and so that could be a sneaky good game. Baker Mayfield's gone now. Obviously, he was a good quarterback. You got Kyler Murray, a lot of hype around him and his potential to be good. He transferred.
even though he's only going to play for 1 year because he's going to go to Major League Baseball.
Exactly, which is
I don't-
good for him.
Yeah, but that's
Going
it's
to
so,
the A's.
It's so weird, and the A's are good too.
They-
But it's weird because I mean,
They're allowing him to play a year of football,
Yeah.
which is definitely more dangerous than playing
that's
baseball.
way more dangerous. Like he could
He's a
first
quarterback.
first
He's a
play of the
quarterback.
game, he could get knocked out.
Yeah, he's a quarterback. But I think you can get a concussion and still go play baseball. You're probably fine.
Oh, for sure.
But that could be a sneaky good game. So Pooty just asked about Heisman predictions. We'll get to that.
I thought
too.
you were working.
Well, we'll get to some of the Heisman predictions here in a minute because there's a lot of hype around preseason Heisman predictions right now, and definitely with West Virginia quarterback
And wide receiver.
and wide receiver. So we'll get to that here in a little bit as well. We didn't write anything down, but we'll get to it. Texas at Maryland. So number 23, Texas. So Texas is one of the teams last year where I thought they would turn it around because I watched a couple games, and as much as I hate to say it, they look like they are getting to where Texas used to be at, but slowly. They lost to Maryland last year. They gave up 51 points to Maryland.
At home.
At home. So that was huge. Now they're going to Maryland, but Maryland's got their own issues. You got strength and conditioning coach and defense and guys being fired and resigning, and then you got Durkin that is now he's been suspended.
How is he not fired?
We haven't heard anything on that investigation just because everything going on with Ohio State and Urban Meyer, but
Yeah, I mean, if the Ohio State thing wasn't going on, to be real honest, Ohio State is a premier program, so that's gonna take precedent over
Maryland and
over Maryland. But if that wasn't going on, I mean, this Maryland issue is really bad.
You got domestic violence and you got a kid who died. I mean,
Neither one is great.
neither one of us great, especially for the Big Ten.
The fact that it's Ohio State, it's gonna trump it every time.
But so you got Maryland scored 51 points on them last year. Obviously, Texas is out for revenge.
And Texas is front runner for the Big 12 this year.
They are, even though they struggled last year.
Between Oklahoma, TCU,
and Texas, I think they're the three.
And Texas,
Maybe
maybe Oklahoma State.
Maybe. I mean, we'll see. So then we got Washington and Auburn. Now this game should have a lot of attention on it because everything. If you guys pay attention to who people are thinking could have that potential to be in the playoff, Washington and Auburn are both up there with potential for the SEC and the Pac-12. Now they're saying Washington is the only chance for the Pac-12 to get into a playoff spot this year. It's
right,
Washington.
And I think it's because USC lost Sam Darnold. Stanford, I mean, they have Bryce Love, but
that's all they got, really.
Yeah.
For star guys.
Utah's always pretty good.
Yeah.
But as far as Pac-12 chances, it is Washington.
Yeah.
And all that I'm hearing is, if Auburn wins, and if it's close, maybe it's different.
Maybe.
But even if Washington then goes and wins,
Runs the table.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Auburn could have a couple losses.
Yeah.
So that might be a bad loss. Eventually become a bad loss. But
Yeah.
Stidham's a senior for Auburn this year. I think Auburn is going to be pretty good.
Jake Browning's a senior for Washington.
He's been good.
He's been good. So you got two quarterbacks going head to head that I think are going to be first round picks in the NFL draft this next year.
They'll be some of the top.
I think this
quarterbacks
game's
taken
going to be
like that.
exciting to watch. I mean, Washington, Peterson has really got Washington to be an elite program in the Pac-12, and it's no longer
They were in the playoff 2 years ago.
It's no longer Oregon and Stanford kind of running the Pac-12. Washington has established itself as one of the best teams. UCLA has a long ways to go still. So I think Washington, yes, I think they're the only chance. Stanford, I think, has a sneaky chance, but I don't know what else they have besides Bryce Love, and that's going to be the question.
And with some of these teams, Stanford and USC play week 2.
Yeah.
You don't have a couple weeks to get some experience under your belt. You got to play these games right away, and you got to win
Well,
if you really want a chance.
And over the last couple of years, one thing that we've seen with Stanford, they kind of make me think of Notre Dame, is they lose games they shouldn't lose.
Right.
They always lose at least one game. It's like, what the hell? Like, we lost to San Diego State. Like, how did we lose that game? And Notre Dame lost to Boston College.
It's kind of the opposite. I feel like Stanford usually loses early.
Yeah.
And then they have a great run after that. Whereas Notre Dame, I feel like they'll lose later.
Yeah. Mid to late in the season.
Yeah.
Maybe a game that they're hyped to win that game and they come up short. But yeah, so I just think Stanford, Washington, it's going to be one of those two. I don't think USC has a chance. I think it's going to be one of those two if the Pac-12 gets in.
Yep. So
that game's
circling back, that Auburn-Washington game is huge. I'm very excited about it. I hope it comes down to the last possession.
And that's your 2:30 game. I believe that's on ABC.
So
on Saturday.
I will be watching that more than likely on a bus.
There you go. At least you'll be drinking. And then free, yes. And then we got, I'd say probably even a bigger game for the season is going to be number 14 Michigan playing at Notre Dame in South Bend. Touchdown Jesus. This is going to be Michigan is once again, they are hyped to be a Big Ten champ. They are hyped to be fantastic. Their defense,
just
a
like
lot
they have been
of
every year with Jim Harbaugh, and they're what 1-1. How many years has he been there now?
I think it's his 4th year. I think.
Yeah, they're 1-5 against
Yeah.
Michigan State and Ohio State.
So here's
0-3 against Ohio State and 1-2 against Michigan State.
So here's I think is going to be the biggest difference. As much as I don't like Michigan, the biggest difference is going to be the transfer of Shea Patterson from Ole Miss.
Right.
Now that doesn't mean anything to me. He hasn't played, but the transfer from Ole Miss coming to Michigan, he's a quarterback. They don't typically have a quarterback that's decent. They rely on their defense to win them games. They don't put up a lot of points. So,
I feel like they usually do hype a quarterback, and then he ends up not being good.
and that's exactly what they do. So it'll be interesting to see what
Their
Shea
defense
Patterson
is always
can do.
awesome. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But
once again, yes, defense wins championships. Okay, we know that, but you gotta be able to put up points too.
talk to
You
the
gotta
09 Huskers about that. We had like the best defense ever, but the offense was garbage.
Yes. So yes, you have to have a great defense, but you gotta be able to put up points, and that's where Michigan has failed over the last 3-4 years under Harbaugh, is they cannot put up points. And so it'll be interesting to see what Shea Patterson can do. Also, you gotta have supporting cast. You gotta have the running backs and the wide receivers that can be the guys to go to get you points.
And for that particular game, Notre Dame is a team that scores long, quick touchdowns.
Mm-hmm.
They score 80-yard rushing touchdowns.
They'll strike
they
on you real
score
fast.
80-yard passing touchdowns. So if they do that early on, and Michigan's in a hole that they got to score,
They're screwed.
I mean that might be pretty tough.
They're screwed. Well, and you got senior Brandon Wimbush at the helm.
Is he a senior?
I believe so.
Okay.
Yep, he's a senior.
I'm sure Pooty will tell you, but
he is. He's a senior. And I wrote it down, so I wouldn't mess that up because Pooty always fact checks me.
Okay.
But Wimbush, a senior, he's looking to go out with a bang. He got hurt last year. He's looking to have a good senior season to go out on.
Well, and they lost 2 offensive linemen that were first round draft picks,
They lost a
and
couple
they
running
lost
backs.
Josh Adams, who's their starting running back, who I know had a couple injuries last year.
Yep.
But they have that wide receiver who
Miles Boykin, their senior wide receiver.
was that the one? There was one that came in I guess they had a different quarterback come in the bowl game against LSU.
Yeah, but they got Miles Boykin as well. I think those two need to kind of lead that offense to be successful. But you got Wimbush. We know he's good. We've seen him play. We know he can sling the ball. We know they can score fast. If they want to, like you said, beat Michigan, they can't slowly move up the field. They're not going to be successful that way. They have to strike quick.
Yeah, I feel like that's kind of how they
5, 6, 7
operate.
plays downfield to score. If they get 14 to 20 points, I think they win the game. Because Notre Dame's defense is good.
I think, I think last year we said that we thought it'd be a low-scoring game between Notre Dame and Michigan State, and Notre Dame blew them out of the water. So, I still think it's a low-scoring game, but hopefully the Big Ten comes out on top.
Like I said, here's my guess though. If Notre Dame scores 20 or more points, Notre Dame wins. Unless
Could be like a 2017 game.
But I also don't know anything about Shea Patterson, so that's going to be the question on Michigan's offense. So that game on Saturday night, very intriguing. I was the same time.
It's at the same time as the Nebraska game, and it'll be a wide reception. Like, what
I'll be trying to keep up, and Ryan, thank God, he's the guy to kind of whisper in my ear what's going on with Notre Dame. So I'll be able to update as we go.
Hopefully there's some TVs at the reception, but I doubt it.
Where's the reception at? Is that a hotel?
No. Do you know that big red barn on State
Oh
Street?
yeah, you're screwed. God, that sucks. So I'm gonna have to be. I'll get on you. Don't worry.
All right.
All right. Then let's look at Sunday. We got some games on Sunday. We got Miami and LSU. I don't know. A lot of people thought Miami was a pretender last year. They kind of showed towards the end of the season that maybe we aren't as great as what we thought we were.
So
Rozier kind of struggled down the end.
there was.
They replaced him in one of the games.
One thing I do like they do on the local radio is they kind of do like top 25 teams, and each day they do a different team starting from 25 down to 1. When they got to Miami, I didn't realize like the last few games that Miami did end up losing, Rozier was like under 50% passing, and I know he's more of a runner to begin with, but their run game wasn't really that strong.
Yeah,
so
I don't know if that was just he didn't have the stamina.
I don't know if they had some injuries, in maybe offensive line or what the issue might have been, but they, especially because when Miami and Notre Dame played last year, Notre Dame was undefeated on the path to the playoff, looked like they were gonna probably make it, and then Miami beat them down.
They did,
and I was like, oh, Miami, it might actually,
They made a statement in that game, and then people start to question Notre Dame. Well, were they really as good as people thought they were?
Right, because why wouldn't you?
Yeah, and yes, Notre Dame was good, but people at that point thought Miami was a pretender, and then they beat down Notre Dame was undefeated. So you got those different things that come in. That's what you gotta love about college football. That's what college football is all about. Any day is your day as a team. Maryland beating Texas, San Diego State beating Stanford. I mean, those things you don't see that very often. So it's exciting when it does. You don't see that in the pros as much.
And LSU, we're talking about this Miami LSU matchup. I mean, I feel like they're an 8-4 team like every year, and
I just don't think
they get amazing talent there. It just feels like they never can.
It seems like since Les Miles has been gone, I mean, he had a couple bad years before he was gone.
Right.
But it seems like since then, yes, like you said, they're still getting decent recruits, but they're kind of another team without a quarterback.
Yeah.
They don't have that
they
offense to take it to the next level.
They're like the Michigan. They have a
they're
great
the Michigan and the
defense,
SEC.
and they can never figure it out quarterback. I don't get it.
Yeah, I mean, so if they figure out the quarterback situation there, LSU has a lot of potential down the road to be good again. But right now, where they stand is they don't have a chance in the SEC because they're not going to be able to put up with Auburn, Georgia, and Alabama. They can't.
And when you look at SEC, I mean, there aren't really great quarterbacks that come out of the SEC.
Stidham.
I mean,
Stidham right now is...
And Dak Prescott did, but he wasn't on one of the best... I mean...
Georgia's...
Fromm.
Well, who was before that? Murray?
Yeah.
Andy Murray or something like that?
Well...
Murray was really good for Georgia before that.
Right. But a lot of...
You really don't.
Seem like the SEC is more of like a run the ball, play defense.
Yeah.
Russian
defense.
And I mean, that's kind of how the Big Ten is too, but...
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, and so I think the LSU Miami game, I'm not really excited about it, but I'm gonna watch it just because it's college football and it's Sunday
And you have to work the next
because
day.
because I can. So, so that game's gonna be exciting just because it's football, and I wouldn't mind seeing LSU kind of be an SEC contender again. Because they're the one team in the SEC that I would love to see beat Alabama.
Right. But,
Between them, Georgia, and Auburn.
right, but at the same time, I'd like to see somebody beat Clemson in the ACC.
Jesus Christ. You know, well...
Everybody's prediction is Alabama and Clemson again, and it's...
So let's talk
I
about
want
that.
them both to get knocked off.
So I didn't even put Clemson on my list. I don't even know who the hell they're playing week one. But on Monday, you got Virginia Tech and Florida State. So kind of talking about the ACC there. Well, Florida State, 6-6 last year. They still end up at number 19 in the top 25. They ended up winning their bowl game last year. They don't even know...
Coach left.
Yeah, I mean, Jimbo Fisher left. He said it wasn't about money, but he got buku bucks.
Right.
He got a lot of money to go coach at A&M. So...
And you're in the same division as Nick Saban in Alabama.
Yeah, and we don't even know what the hell's going to happen with Jimbo Fisher and all the allegations going on with the treatment and stuff. But everything I've heard about that is kids will, in order to be able to play year one when you transfer, you have to have a reason why. And so, like, he could be just saying that stuff so he could play. Get granted to be able to play right away,
Right.
So, which is really shitty. And I honestly don't see Jimbo Fisher as that kind of coach. But I don't know. I don't know. Either way, Florida State, Virginia Tech, number 19, number 20. This game is at Florida State. I don't know.
Virginia Tech's always good.
Florida State doesn't
Florida
have a quarterback decided yet.
Always has great talent, but as far as that game goes, I mean, it's a conference game. It's kind of a weird.
I hope
Monday
Florida State
night
loses.
game.
I don't like the Seminoles. I hope they lose.
Right.
I don't like Florida. I don't like Florida State.
I just want whatever team is going to be able to knock Clemson off to win.
Amen.
I just don't want Alabama or Clemson.
Yeah, and you know Clemson's going to have a good team again this year.
Yeah.
I mean, Brian at quarterback. Apparently there was a QE battle, but I think that's just hocus pocus because Bryant, I think, was the clear number one.
I think that was because they had the number one overall recruit was a quarterback, and he went to Clemson.
Still, you got Bryant, who had a hell of a good year. They lost one game to Syracuse last year, and the Syracuse loss was because Bryant got hurt.
That's true.
Essentially, I mean, even though I don't think that's an excuse to still lose a game, but it is what it is, and Bryant is still a hell of a good quarterback. I don't know. I'm pumped, man. I'm jacked. I'm so freaking excited about this weekend. I'm not gonna be able to focus on Thursday because I'll be so excited about watching football that night.
I know.
Even though it's really Northwestern Purdue's the only game I want to watch, but I'm just.
That's a big game for us.
I'm excited to be able to get back in the groove of things. I'm excited for Two Average Guys, Cornhusker Nation. I'm excited for everybody that loves college football like we do. Even Kirk Herbstreit, like I said, he was getting a lot of shit for last night for his Twitter post, but also, he was calling out all the crazy college football game fans that were actually watching the games last night. He's like, only the craziest of college football games are staying up late to watch Colorado State and Hawaii, which ended up being actually a really good game. Colorado State was getting their butts whooped by Hawaii, and they really came back. They ended up losing, but it ended up being a lot closer.
That's kind of a surprise because Colorado State's usually pretty decent. I think they went into Alabama last year and gave them probably the closest game of the year.
And Colorado State was actually projected to win the Mountain West.
Yeah.
They were projected to win the Mountain West this year. So obviously losing to Hawaii kind of changes that feeling a little bit.
Isn't that a conference game?
I think so.
Interesting.
Is Hawaii independent or are they Mountain West?
I don't know about that.
I don't know. Okay. Either way, it's a big game for them because they're supposed to be winning. Which I guess they can still win the conference, but they got a long ways to go after really a slow start to playing Hawaii last night. So either way, like I said, I'm jacked. I think it's gonna be a fun year.
For sure.
I'm really jacked about the Huskers. I think everybody is a Husker fan.
Yeah, I mean, there's really no reason not to be.
We got fans around the country for the Huskers.
Finally have promise.
Yes. So, I mean, we got a lot of games this weekend, so it'll be fun. I'll keep you posted on Saturday how things are going. As much as you can, you will, but...
my phone better be charged 1,000% because I'm going to be blowing through.
You got a portable battery, you better take one.
Yeah, I know.
And for you Cornhusker Nation fans that stuck with us for the last hour, one thing I just want to say, kind of what Two Average Guys is all about. So we talk about all games. We don't just talk about the Huskers, but Huskers are obviously number one in our brain. We're huge Husker fans, diehard fans, just like you guys are. One thing that we enjoy doing, and the reason why we started this is just to be able to get together and talk about football.
Right, because during a typical college football Saturday, between us two, there'll be hundreds of text messages back and forth.
Yeah.
Not just, obviously during the Nebraska game, it'll go from, what are we doing? We're terrible. And then they throw a 40-yard touchdown pass on 3rd and 12, and then we're like, we're awesome, And
Jimmy has like 50 exclamation points. And
yes, I always do.
It's exciting. And so...
But then we also do that during other games.
We do.
Top games that are on.
We do. So we really wanted to, there's not really a whole lot out there. You got your Barstool Sports where that thing is kind of going down the shitter, which I think Cornhusker Nation and Two Average Guys is a great partnership because we do cover more than just the Huskers. So anybody else interested in the rest of college football gets to hear more about the rest of the games.
Right.
Plus, we just sit here, we drink beer, and we have fun. And
Well,
we are extremely biased. We hate USC. We hate Florida State. We hate the SEC.
We hate Ohio State.
We hate Ohio State. We hate Iowa.
Notre Dame, sorry, friends.
But we just have fun, and we have friends that like those teams, so it's even more
Yeah,
fun.
that's one of the reasons why we say that.
But
at the same time, we also know who their players are, so we can talk about them.
Yeah.
We might not like them, but we know who they have, and if they win a game, if they win a big game, we don't like them, but we'll still talk about it. We'll give them credit.
So we didn't get into this. We'll get in just a second. But for those of you on Cornhusker Nation, we're going to be going live on Cornhusker Nation next week. Definitely interact with us. Ask us questions. We will respond. We'll talk about it on the show when you ask questions. We want to be interactive with you guys. So make sure you're asking questions. I'll also post the podcast so you guys can listen to the podcast at any time. So it'll go live. It's going to be on Podbean, but I will post a link. You guys can listen to it. It'll be on Google Play, so it's out there.
We talk about scores and stats and funny mess up punts that people have or whatever it is.
Fat kickers. I mean, it's
Fat kickers. Yes.
Last thing we didn't talk about that we were going to come back to, circle back.
I didn't know if you had remembered or not.
I did. Oregon State and Ohio State. So Oregon State plays Ohio State, 11 o'clock game on...
Oregon State's terrible and Mike Riley's back on
Saturday.
staff.
No, he's not.
It is from this year. That league doesn't start.
That's right, it's next year. That's right,
Yeah.
2019. Which ain't going to make a difference for Oregon State either way.
Yeah.
So Ohio State, obviously, they're going to win the game. Dwayne Haskins is going to be their quarterback, their starter this year.
Dobbins is their running back. He's going to run for 250-plus yards.
And once again, we give credit where credit's due. Dobbins is a good running back. He's solid.
Oh, yeah. He was awesome last year.
Nick Bosa, the only reason why I'm not a fan of his is because I didn't like his brother. I think his brother going to the NFL is thinking I'm the big shit. I'm going to hold out till you give me the money I deserve. I'm sorry, you're good, but you're not that good, even though he had a hell of a good rookie year. Either way, they got Nick Bosa on defense, who they're saying could be a potential Heisman winner. But let's be honest, if Ndamukong Suh didn't win the Heisman, Nick Bosa ain't going to win the Heisman.
No defensive player unless you're returning punts.
Yes.
And kicks and
Yes.
stuff like that. Maybe getting in on the offense.
Yes. So he won't. But they do have Dwayne Haskins. They do have J.K. Dobbins. Their offense is going to be good. Who knows about the wide receivers, but Zach Smith is gone now. Who knows? Like, he made a big difference. I don't know. But it'll be interesting to see how they come out week one. They've had no Urban Meyer up until this point, and they won't until after this weekend. So what's crazy about what happened here with Ohio State and with Urban Meyer, no matter how your feelings are about it, if you watch the press conference on the quote-unquote punishment for both Gene Smith and Urban Meyer, they found so many different reasons and so many different things to tell the public on Urban Meyer did not do his job and Gene Smith does not do his job up to not only their contract negotiations, but up to their moral standards and to what Ohio State believes in. And they said that in the press conference before saying 3 games, 17 days.
17 days was the most random thing.
It is random. Probably the minimum punishment.
It probably is. I don't know if this thing's over because they suspended Tressel for 2 games, and then the NCAA came in and then he eventually resigned.
Yes.
So I don't know if that might be down that type of path. The biggest joke of this whole thing, I don't even know if you can say that. There's like 10 things you could say for that.
Absolutely.
But, well, for one, the fact that he didn't apologize until
Wednesday.
eventually his publicist or whoever came and said, this is really bad looks.
So like
He eventually
3 days
did
later.
3 days later.
Yeah.
But he gets a 3-game suspension. That's really just a 3-day suspension
It is.
because he can still coach the practices.
Yeah. After game 1.
And what I find funny about this whole thing is it took 12 hours. I think a lot of this 12 hours that happened throughout that day was the president of the university, who one of his first orders of business when he took the job was firing some coach because of a situation
Yes.
in another sport.
Yes.
And so he wanted, whether it was a firing or a suspension. And Urban Meyer was like, I didn't do anything, so I don't accept a suspension. What right do you have to say that? Like,
Yeah.
that you have a superior.
He is.
You're a great coach, don't get me wrong. Great coach, your teams are always good. But there's always been some bad business going on with these places that you've been.
Since Florida.
I don't know if there was anything going on at Utah. He was a great coach at Utah. But, probably not because it's Utah, but there's been some bad biz that's been going on. And you've kind of, slid under the rug, kind of skated by. The way this whole thing has gone down, there's no reason this guy should not have been fired.
No.
And I'm not saying that as, a Nebraska fan that wants to beat Ohio State. I don't want to have to play against him.
So Ohio State's going to be good whether he's there or not.
Right. And you got to beat the best. You got to be the best.
Yeah.
I always, you got to win your conference to go to the playoff. So
I think, obviously you go back to Courtney Smith. You go back to the allegations, as most people say. Now, in 2009, it was confirmed in 2009 that, and Zach Smith admitted to it, yes, he choked her when she was pregnant. He slammed her up against the wall and choked her. Earl Bruce convinced her not to press charges
right.
and get therapy. Okay, young couple, not terrible advice, but that was only the beginning. That was only the beginning. Someone who abuses their wife, it's not going to be one time. That is never a one-time thing unless they end their marriage and get a protection order. He never sees her again. That's the only time it happens once.
Who chokes their wife? I would never choke my wife.
If you put your hands on your wife in a physical manner,
Never in my life would I.
for one, you're not a true man. You're just a coward and a piece of shit. And I think that's what Zach Smith was. It happened once early on in their marriage. It happened early. It continued on. That was
Right.
2009. And we know all the shit. We know all the stuff that happened in Florida. We know everything. We know all the stuff that Urban Meyer let go. The drugs, the murders.
Aaron Hernandez.
Oh my God! Like the amount of stuff that the Florida players got away with in the locker room, outside of the locker room. He didn't care because they were winning. Florida didn't care because they were winning until they got caught. And then Urban Meyer's like, "Hey, bye. I got health issues. I gotta go.
Right, exactly.
I'm gonna go be an analyst, and then the next year I'm gonna take a job at Ohio State." So he left. This reminds me of Pete Carroll. Pete Carroll, when he left USC, guess what happened the next year? Reggie Bush gets his Heisman Trophy taken away.
And they get their national championship.
So Pete Carroll left at the right time, and he's like, I had no idea that was going on. No, you're full of shit. Urban Meyer knew what was going on at Florida. He let it go.
It's unbelievable. The most mind-blowing thing of it is how he says with these health issues that he forgets things.
He was taking medication, so at the Big Ten Media Days, he said that there was nothing there, and that was a memory glitch because you're taking medication. But then again, on the football field, you got no problem calling plays when it's 4th and 1 against Michigan
Right.
to essentially
That
win
was
the
the
game.
big thing.
So I think that's a bullshit response, and not only by Meyer, but by the investigators to believe that.
And his wife is a professor at the university or has a
Nurse or
has a
something,
job
yeah.
at the university or something. So like, there's that whole thing too, where he's trying to protect her too, and it's like there's so many different things.
Shame on her. I mean, holy shit.
I know, like
there were pictures from the 2015 incident, and those were exposed, and Maybe the cops didn't press any charges. They didn't make an arrest. That doesn't mean it didn't happen. There are plenty of domestic violence cases where no one gets charged they might go to jail but don't actually get arrested. They get, bond or whatever. They don't actually have to spend time in jail. They don't go to court. They just dismiss the case because there's not enough evidence. That doesn't mean it didn't happen. And that's what people are missing out on. Everyone's like, he didn't get arrested, this and this. Yeah, it doesn't mean he didn't beat his wife. He did in 2009. What's to say he's not doing it in 2015? Yes, she stayed with him, but if you know anything about domestic violence, that doesn't mean that shit's not going on. They had 2 kids.
And I know I've talked to a couple people, and they're like, Urban Meyer didn't beat his wife, so I don't know why this is such a big deal. The fact of the matter is, he kept this guy around.
Around kids.
Yeah, because they are kids. They are 18 years old.
18, 19, 20, 21 years old.
And I know when you are 18, you're technically an adult, but he kept this guy around for what reason?
Earl Bruce.
Right.
I think the only reason why Zach Smith was able to get away, and he even said it in the press conference, is his mentor, Earl Bruce, was the reason why he gave Zach Smith the benefit of the doubt. That's why he said that. And so did the investigators in their findings.
The other thing...
That's not an excuse to let it go.
I don't know if you posted it or not, but they came out with the Shelly Meyer text message that she sent him the day that he fired Zach Smith.
And then also the day that he deleted...
He drinks a lot. I'm scared of what he might do. Another thing that I thought of was...
So here, real quick on that. So with that, they're like, who knows if Urban received those messages, or if he didn't respond, but who knows if he received them. Bullshit. Anybody who's watching that's married, if your wife calls you or texts you, you know you're getting back to them.
Yeah.
You're going to.
Otherwise, you're going to
hear about it later.
You're going to hear about it later.
He saw it. He may not have responded, but you know he saw it.
Right. So, what I was going to say was, the way that she kind of had said that was, she was scared what he might do. So what might he say? You fire him, and then he says, well, this has been going on throughout the program or with Urban. And that might be extreme speculation, but who knows?
But you got the 2000, when he got hired in 2012 at Ohio State, and Meyer brought him on board as a wide receiver coach. He didn't tell anybody that he had these issues at Florida. In 2009. He didn't tell anybody. Gene Smith didn't know. Drake didn't know when Drake got there. So you got things that Urban Meyer just did not tell people that are pretty important to tell about a coach who's going to be coaching young men. But why did he get hired, and why did Urban Meyer hire him on? Earl Bruce. I go back to that again because I think Earl Bruce had a tremendous amount of influence in the Ohio State program, and with Zach Smith not getting punished or nothing happening to him ever.
Well,
he went to a drug treatment program, stayed 4 days and left.
Right.
And he just quit. He quit the drug treatment program.
Yeah, and cool Zach Smith, why don't you hit up Keith Williams and give him shit about his DUI?
Yeah.
Seriously?
Yeah.
He was the one trolling Keith Williams on Twitter after he got his DUI.
And Zach Smith had a DUI.
And you got way bigger issues
and
than
he had a DUI. Zach Smith got a DUI, and that came out, which that's neither here nor there. But then he was recruiting they promoted him. They promoted this guy to a recruiter.
Taking dick pics at the White House.
Taking dick pics to the White House. He orders sex toys to the facility.
Which I know everybody that's an Ohio State fan will come back and say, what does this have to do with Urban Meyer?
Yeah, exactly. But
just the kind of people that you keep around.
He took out recruits, spent $600 at a strip club. $600 at a strip club of Ohio State football money, which, $600 may not be a lot to Ohio State football, but guess what? He took recruits to a strip club.
$600 at a strip club is unreal.
That's unreal. That's a lot of lap dances. And Urban Meyer says, if you do it again, I'll fire you. Okay, why don't you just fire him right then and there? If I were to use $600 in money at my job, I'm fired. Anybody would be fired. Any other recruiter would be fired. Pitino got fired for doing shit like that. Rick Pitino did. So
Tressell's situation at Ohio State was selling like merchandise
and free tattoos.
free tattoos and selling like the gifts that they were given from bowl games.
You tell me, you watch college football. Anybody listening right now, you watch college football, and you tell me that those guys on the football field did pay for every single tattoo they have. I will call bullshit immediately and slap you in the face, because I have 5 tattoos. I know what they cost. These college kids don't have the money to pay for sleeves. They don't have the money to pay for all the tattoos they have. You know they don't. So where are they getting them? They're getting them for free, or they're getting them for like, maybe $50.
Yeah,
but
like,
these are full sleeve tattoos.
Different things are happening everywhere, and so yeah, I mean, he got fired, or not fired, but he ended up resigning for a lot less than what's been going on there right now.
So the investigators, once again, I said it on Twitter, I said it on
Ohio
Facebook
State
too.
investigates Ohio State?
Ohio State investigated Ohio State, and Ohio State won. So you had Ohio State, the Board of Trustees, the entire investigative group was Ohio State alumni or Ohio State people that worked with Ohio State. So what's their best interest? We want the money, we want to win games. Absolutely, we want to keep
We want to have one of the top 3 coaches in college football.
Yes,
We want to keep him.
And for any Ohio State fan saying all the crap about Urban didn't need to do this, Urban didn't need to do this, Urban had no idea, or why should he be punished? Take a little bit of time and read like the 20 some odd page findings that Ohio State, the investigative group, put out.
Right.
Everything in there says he didn't do his job. Gene Smith didn't do their job. They kept Gene Smith on way too long. They knew about the incidents and didn't do anything about it. There's multiple things that happened in the program that has nothing to do with the football players, but it has to do with Urban Meyer.
People are being paid millions of dollars and they didn't do their job.
And let me tell you,
While the rest of us don't make anywhere near that. And
people will say that's not his job. Let me tell you. And I heard Gene Chizik say this the other day, or a couple weeks ago. He said, as the head coach, your job is to know what your coaches are doing.
Right.
Your wife is the head coach of the wives. The wives know everything that's going on that they need to know what's going on. So he basically said, I'd be shocked if Urban Meyer knew nothing about this. And he also said, I'd be shocked if none of the other coaches knew anything about this. You say it's not over. I agree with you. I would not be shocked if NCAA steps in. I would not be shocked if Day is the only guy that keeps his job after this whole fiasco. It may not be till the end of the season. But I don't think this is over, because anybody in the public and anybody at the NCAA that reads what the investigative group found, and they gave him a 3-game suspension or a 3-day suspension,
3-day.
They will be like, no. He's letting. There's probably more that he's not doing that he should be doing. Let me remind everybody that not doing anything is just as bad as aiding somebody to do something. If you don't say anything, then that says a lot about you and your character, your morals. I've always hated Urban Meyer. I've always thought he's a piece of shit. Florida was a top-tier program before he left. After he left, they got all these sanctions brought upon him because of what he let go.
Well, and one thing I was going to say is just, like, the human aspect of this whole thing. Like, how can you sleep at night or, without apologizing to this woman that was beaten when she was pregnant, and you just apologize to Buckeye Nation because you're not going to be able to coach for a few games?
Well, and his statement says, if I told my sons if they ever touch a woman, they'd be kicked out of the house. That's great, but you should probably live up to the standard of firing your coaches who put their hands on a woman.
Instead of just saying that, why don't you live that and do something about it when a situation like this comes about? We have family members that work in domestic violence.
Yes.
My sister is Child Protective Services.
Our cousin
Megan.
works with
So,
I mean, it's a very, and it is getting, it's gotten worse and worse over the years because women are speaking up now. They're no longer scared to talk about their attackers, and that's a good thing. And to call Courtney Smith batshit crazy, guess what? She might be, but would she lie about being beaten by her husband?
When she was pregnant?
And when she had pictures and proof that she sent to Shelly Meyer? I mean, there's just so many different things that pointed to not only did Shelly Meyer knew, but Urban Meyer knew. And they didn't do anything about it. They didn't care because they wanted to brush it under the rug Earl
Yep.
Bruce is my mentor. Guess what? Earl Bruce is dead. You should have done something about this a long time ago without thinking Earl Bruce is going to think worse of me. He's your mentor. Well, maybe he should have been a better mentor and told you my grandson is a fucking piece of shit and you need to get him off the team right now.
Yeah,
I mean, he knew you choked your pregnant wife in 2009. He never should have coached after that.
we love sports. We love to talk about sports. We love to watch sports. Everything about sports. But there's bigger things in life than sports.
Yes.
And these people make millions of dollars a year to coach a sport.
in Ohio State.
And they can
Yep.
do things to make sure that people aren't getting actually hurt outside of sports.
And Ohio State failed. They straight
did.
up they failed to follow through with what they should have done because guess what? They don't want a new AD. They don't want to start over with a new AD and a new head coach.
Too bad.
I mean, if you watch the conference once again, Gene Smith got up and said thank you about 40 times. He was thanking them for not firing him. And Urban Smith got up there saying he was sorry. You know why? Because he knew he didn't do the right thing. And that's where the investigative group found everything that was wrong with Urban Meyer and Gene Smith and what they didn't do. And what they didn't do was anything. They didn't do anything. So
Well,
they found all that out and they just don't care.
because
they made that
because they
very
want to
clear.
win now. They don't want to have to take a step back. Well, you know what? Take a look at a program like Penn State. They took a huge step back, and they're right there. They're back again.
Yes. And so
USC kind of did the same thing. They just didn't want to have to deal with the fallout.
So I think Ohio State, you messed up. You're going to lose recruits off of this. I guarantee it. Because not only are the recruits going to see what went on and probably read between the lines, but their parents.
Well, and I've seen some recruits that have like gone on social media and been like, "This doesn't affect me" and all this. But
That's great.
yeah, when Urban Meyer comes in if Urban Meyer came into my parents' house to recruit me, my mom would say, "You either need to tell me what happened with this situation,
Yeah.
or you need to get out of my house."
Convince me otherwise.
Yeah, or convince me otherwise.
Convince me why my kid should go play for you when this happened.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's why a couple people decommitted, and it was because of what was going on. And they're like, you know what,
It's great.
we're going.
They
I think
should.
they lost a linebacker. I think they may have lost a running back too, but it's going to continue.
Come to Scotty Boy. You got promise. Come to the
And
promised land.
Like I said, I don't think it's over.
No, I certainly don't.
I think we're going to see more.
Brett McMurphy has straight up come out. He's the one that broke this whole thing. He has straight up come out and said that he does not think Urban Meyer will be coaching a game this year, and that he will be done at Ohio State.
Yeah, and even if he coaches a game after this season, I think he's going to be done. Adam on Cornhusker Nation just said he goes live tonight at 8 p.m. Central, so check out the Carrier Chronicles tonight.
Yes.
Thanks, Adam.
Thanks,
and
Adam.
we do plan on getting Adam back on the show.
We did have Adam last year. It was a great conversation we had with him. He said he thought that we would get Scott Frost as a coach, and we did.
And we did. So here's a couple things too. So hopefully getting Adam back this year. I know he'd love to come back on the show. He's a great sport about it. We also potentially get Jamal Turner.
We did, yes.
And Jason Peter. So hopefully have some guests on the show. Hopefully have some live guests as well. I know we got some friends and family that want to come on and just drink beer with us, talk football. So once again, going to be a great year. We're going to wrap up the show here. Really enjoyed talking to you guys.
Yeah,
It was
I'm out of
a
beer.
little bit longer than normal. Yes, we're out of beer, so we got to go refill. But thanks for tuning in. Happy football, man.
Yeah, I know.
We got a
Like
few
this,
more days
this
to wait.
is longer than usual, but
Thursday night.
between setting everything up preseason wise and the Ohio State stuff, Maryland stuff, and just prepping Husker stuff, it was a little longer than usual, but
Thursday night, baby.
we're getting excited. Can't wait. Go
Cheers.
Big Red.
Cheers to you guys. Once again, we'll get some more information about the merger between Two Average Guys and Cornhusker Nation. Cornhusker Nation, hopefully you enjoyed the show today. Feel free to let us know if you have any comments, any feedback, any questions. We do our research. We like to talk about football. We'll do it the entire season. So
Yeah.
keep tuning in. We'll
We're
keep broadcasting here on Cornhusker Nation moving forward. And
Sundays after college football Saturday.
every Sunday, yeah.
Sometimes things pop up and we might have to do a weeknight, but
So sometimes we do some fun stuff during college football Saturday as well, and
yes.
get out in the public and get some stuff done. So thanks for tuning in today. Once again, I'm Matt.
I'm Jimmy.
We're Two Average Guys, and that's just our opinion.
Yeah, we'll see
Thanks
you.
for tuning in.
We'll see you next week.